With Conor vs. Poirier 2 coming up, let's go back and break down their first fight and analyze how different fighters they are today compared to their first meeting back in 2014. A fight where Conor pretty much exploded from the scene, the first pay-per-view card he was a part of, and ultimately showcased to the world that he belonged with the top of the featherweight division. Now, a very important thing we have to talk about is that Conor played mind games with Dustin Poirier, and Poirier said that it affected him. It affected him in the fight. He fought angry, he wasn't in the best state of mind, and it's something the featherweight division has never seen before. Frankly, any of the lighter divisions has ever seen before, so none of these guys were prepared for it. Now, the only times Conor McGregor was ever caught by anything Poirier was really doing was when Conor actually made a big mistake by overextending or being a little bit too active. Conor was extremely aggressive, whether it be spamming, spinning back kicks to where Dustin was able to counter with a leg kick. Conor naturally lose balance because his supporting leg is kicked out from under him. He has to bounce back up to his feet, so Poirier is able to land a shot in that sequence. Or it be Conor reaching in heavy to the body from a very far distance. This is pretty much kicking range and causes a huge retraction time to get back into stance and gets caught slightly by Dustin as he chases him down. But the fact that Conor was able to also move with the punch decreased the impact of it greatly. Or it be by them trading with each other. Conor comes in head first with Dustin, exchanging left hands with him. These are the only times Conor was actually getting caught to the head by Dustin. Conor was just making huge mistakes, being way too aggressive and way too active with that aggression, rather than setting up his strikes like he does today. This was a very young Conor McGregor, not as composed and as wise as he is today. Now, from this fight, Dustin Poirier had a hard time of gauging the distance and knowing how to really enter in on Conor McGregor, who had a very unique style back in that day. Conor with his wide stance bouncing around, it's a style that Dustin Poirier has never come up against, even close to this ever before. So he notices that Conor had a very wide stance, so he just kept going to leg kicks from a distance. In fact, still today, Dustin Poirier back in 2014 is the only fighter to focus on using leg kicks against Conor McGregor. Very strange how nobody else does this. Poirier is still the only fighter to focus on that, and probably going to see a continuation of this in the rematch. But that's never Dustin Poirier's goal. Even against Conor McGregor, his goal is always to get in close and land with crisp boxing combinations. But in this fight, it was very hard for him to do that. He kept tapping that lead leg from a distance with inside and outside leg kicks, creating damage and buying himself some time to figure out how he's going to enter on Conor McGregor, getting to his end goal that is in close range, boxing with Conor. But he was never able to find the entry. So what you see him doing a lot was just overreaching and overextending with looping punches, whether it be a right hook and get slightly countered by the straight left hand of Conor McGregor, straight punch being loopy punch, or that big left overhand getting blocked easily by Conor and allowing Conor to figure out the distance for his own punches. Dustin did really set up a lot of his attacks up. The overreaching looping punches were actually helping Conor McGregor get the distance down for himself, where it really wasn't benefiting Poirier at all. Actually, still a lot of the same stuff he does today. He reaches a lot with that left overhand. You'll notice with some of these left overhands that Conor McGregor definitely had a big opening to counter Dustin Poirier, but you do have to know that this was an early Conor McGregor. This is a young guy who hasn't developed his counterpunching to what it is today, and frankly what it became against Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez a year and 2 years later. We never see Conor anymore react to punches the way he was reacting to Dustin Poirier's left overhand. He was putting up a high tight guard and moving away from it, rather than what he did to Eddie Alvarez and many other fighters. Even Nate Diaz was a longer reach, a bit more unpredictable entries than Dustin Poirier, and Conor was able to counter Nate Diaz's punches a lot better. Even though on paper, Poirier's big left overhand should be a lot easier to counter for Conor McGregor. And there was a point in the fight where Poirier extended with the same left overhand and Conor went head first, traded with Dustin Poirier, both of them connect with their left hands, a contest of power, which Conor obviously won. Conor showed to be the much more powerful fighter. From this exchange alone, you could see the difference in power between Conor and Dustin Poirier, and I don't think it's going to be much different at 155, given that they're both more powerful in that weight class, but Conor seems to be exponentially more powerful at 155 compared to their 145 selves. But Dustin didn't really affect Conor that much, and Conor stunned Dustin very badly. Poirier's chin at 145 was not the same as it is today at 155. He was way too big for that division, cutting way too much weight and softening his chin to make that weight class. So that punch actually started off a lot of Poirier being cautious of getting caught again because he got his bell rung. So Conor pressures him, he's stalking him, he's looking for a big opportunity to connect with another left hand. He has a distance down, he just needs the angle and he needs Poirier to stay in position. So he simply just stands in front of Poirier. Poirier stands his ground in front of Conor. Conor fakes a jab and gets Poirier to parry forward. This leaves an opening on the left side of Dustin Poirier as Conor extends into a wide right hook from that fake jab. The right hook connects over that side, causes Poirier's head to move to the right into the follow-up left hand that cracks Dustin Poirier and hurts him bad. And this eventually leads up to the punch that lands behind the ear, the infamous punch that a lot of people in that day, when you watched it live, there was a lot of fans that thought this was like a fixed fight or something due to how the punch landed and somehow knocked out Poirier. But we do know it landed behind the ear, knocked off the equilibrium, and caused Poirier to lose balance. He was already hurt before this, so just a little bit of a touch from Conor was able to put this fight to rest. Conor comes forward, pumps a jab, Poirier parries it, deflecting it out of the way, so he's able to see what Conor is coming in with next. He sees that Conor is advancing on him heavily, so he reacts heavy in response, puts up a high, tight right guard in preparation to defend the left hand, but for ounce gloves, man, you cannot always rely on guarding in MMA. He ducks his head under to get under the punch, but it just nicks behind the ear. This may be credit to Conor's precision, or it may have been a bit of luck that he landed in this manner. He was aiming to knock out Poirier, and at the end of the day, that is what he got. Conor is just precise, man, and that is the end of the breakdown, man. Conor McGregor put on a show for his first pay-per-view on UFC 178, which eventually led him to fight Dennis Siver, fight Chad Mendes, and then go on to fight Jose Aldo in a historic featherweight run. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. If you did, make sure to thumbs up, if you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.